What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Jacob Kotznick here, back for another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. Now, the podcast for Monday, April 13th, 2026. Transfer portal talk here for you guys today. Just going to kind of do a quick rundown of some of these targets that have been rumored for Michigan State, who they might be trying to go for in the portal, and what to know uh, about all of them, because there's kind of three names that are kind of out there that are available in the portal at the time of this recording. Obviously, I think situations like these are always fluid because, again, we know right now that there's only one roster spot open for Michigan State. They're at 14 players on the 2026 2027 roster right now, and the max you can have under NCAA rules is 15. That includes walk ons. So it's just 15 total players, and you're at 14 right now. So obviously, one spot. And there's three guys who have kind of been, their name has kind of gotten around, have been in the rumor mill, and so on and so forth, and all seem like relatively decent fits for what Michigan State is going to be looking for. And I guess the first name that everyone is kind of clamoring for, and personally, this is the guy who I think would maximize Michigan State's chances at a Big Ten title, Final Four, national title. If you're feeling really optimistic, is Alabama transfer Aiden Sherrell. Again, 11.1 points per game at Alabama, about six or seven rebounds per game for the Crimson Tide last year, 2.2 blocks per game. Was second in a per game basis in the SEC, and I believe he was first in total blocks in the SEC this year. He was top 10 in the SEC in box plus minus. Again, one of the top transfers available in the entire transfer portal. So again, he has a lot of suitors. A lot, like, it's going to be tough. You can't just go out and get him, basically. So he's going to have his options. I believe Indiana. There's a report. There's been reports that he took a visit to Bloomington, took an official visit there. I believe Justin Thind at 24/7 Sports reported that there was a Zoom call between Sherrell and Michigan State. And again, it's a move that just overall it makes a whole lot of sense because Sherrell's from Detroit. Izzo's got that pre-built relationship with him because they recruited him coming out of high school when he was a five-star recruit. So obviously, I guess as far as Izzo, when you're talking about trusting a transfer, who better really than a guy who, again, he's played at one school for 2 years, so he's not a guy who has bounced around necessarily, and a guy who he probably likes enough from his time recruiting him coming out of high school that he would have been a take, I presume. That go get him from the transfer portal. So again, Sherrell, high ceiling guy, just oozes potential. Again, he plays at a very high paced offense at Alabama as well. So I think he'll be able to hang and run you have to be able to run the court at Alabama. I think he played 25, 26 minutes per game over there. That's kind of a good number that you would like to be around as far as that goes. So I think the fit is definitely there for Sherrell again. But I guess moving again, but I think that's kind of the name that's been, maybe not say you're beating the dead horse, but everyone wants Aiden Sherrell, it seems, and understandably so. If I could take realistic options out of the portal, Sherrell would be number one for me. After that, though, another interesting name that I think would fit actually really, really well here at Michigan State is SMU transfer Samet Yegotolu. Again, starting center for the Mustangs the last 2 years, helped get SMU to the NCAA tournament this past year. Again, it was the first time in quite actually a little bit. Again, SMU is moving into the ACC, so he's playing high major basketball as well. He's from Turkey. It was his sophomore year this past year, so I think he'd have to, but like he's international, so he's on the older side, and there's the new eligibility rules. But either way, he'll be eligible next season. And again, international big. He's 7'2", huge guy, really good rebounder, another decent shot blocker. Not quite as good as Aiden Sherrell, but you turn on the film with him, and he's a good lob threat. Probably a better lob threat, in my opinion, than Aiden Sherrell. Again, taller guy, but I think he's just a little, maybe a tiny bit more athletic, I guess, as far as catching the lobs and throwing them down as far as it goes. I think with the pick and rolls that you could do with Jeremy Fears and Yigotolu, it's Fears and Cooper-esque. I think you're kind of looking for, if you can't get Sherrell, who can maybe be the more dynamic player of the bunch, you should try to maybe get a guy who can play that Carson Cooper role. Was Cooper the most dynamic player of all time? No, but he did his job and he did it well. And I think Yigotolu would actually, as far as fitting the Michigan State system goes, I think he might be the best fit to be honest. I think you get the most talent if you're Aiden Sherrill, which is why I think you need to go try and get Aiden Sherrill. But if maybe the price isn't there, maybe if you just picks Indiana or some other type of school, Yigotolu will work very, very well. And I think if that ends up being what it is, I think people should be happy with the result. He's still the number, I believe, on three has him as the number seven center in the entire transfer portal. He's ranked in the 30s or the 40s. That's pretty good. I mean, this is a class of transfer portal big men that is very expensive. A lot of people need bigs this year. I don't know what the reasoning behind it is, but like there's something about this year where like bigs are making a whole lot of money. Flory Badunga, who I think was the guy maybe on the paper, like go for him. He's one of the best players in the Big 12. He goes to Louisville, and I can only imagine what kind of check they had to cut for him to go there. It probably would have been something that Izzo probably doesn't want to do because I think one of the tricky things here is you still have to kind of retain your roster. No one's entered the portal yet. Like with Fears, for example, whatever you pay your big man, you got to pay Fears more than that. So if you're giving $4 or $5 million checks out to a big man, you better be able to go +1 for your All American point guard who deserves it more than anyone that you pull out of the portal as far as a payday goes. I think there's no worries there necessarily, but as far as NIL demands go, Sherrill is probably going to be asking more than Yagatola, just because Sherrill is again more dynamic, a higher ceiling, maybe more talent. So again, he'll get a nice check, but Yagatola won't be cheap either because he's still a top 10 big in the portal. He'll have plenty of other suitors. I haven't really gone through and see. I think like South Carolina wants him. There's probably some others there that I don't know very much about, but he's another guy to keep an eye on. And if you get him, I think you feel good about it. Another one that's kind of popped up in the last couple of days is Charlotte transfer Anton Bonke or Bonke. I'm sorry if I'm getting these names wrong. Again, these are guys who, but again, Bonke's also very, very big. He's 7'1" or 7'2", and again played for Charlotte. His next place will be his fourth school in 4 years. So maybe as far as the guy who jumps from place to place, maybe that's a red flag for Izzo. But he started at a JUCO, went to Providence, barely played there, appeared in 16 total games. It's like 6 minutes per game. Goes back down to Charlotte, does really well, averages about 11 and 7 per game. And then he's going to transfer back up, presumably to go play high major basketball once again. I think he also declared for the NBA draft, put his name in there because why not? But not a guy who I think is on a whole lot of draft boards. Might just be a feedback thing, which is what I think is the same thing with Jeremy Fears at this very moment. Another guy who, again, kind of moves similarly to Yigotolu, but not quite as well. I guess my main concern, if that's who you end up with, again, Monkey's like ranked, I think, just outside the hundreds on threes rankings, and he's like 11th or 12th as far as centers go. So he's still like highly regarded, but not quite to the level as Sherrill or Yagatolu. But my main concern is when you get a guy like this is he already played at a high major program and not an amazing one at that at Providence because Providence hasn't been very great lately. And he wasn't in the rotation there. I'm sure he's grown a lot over this past season at Charlotte, but what's going to happen when he jumps up even to a higher level at a better program than Providence at Michigan State and a better conference at that in the Big Ten as far as just the depth of it goes? Is that really going to be a starting caliber guy? That is a question I have. I haven't watched enough to really give you a lot more of my focus has been on Sherrill and Yagatola, to be honest. But again, Bonke would be another very interesting guy. He's from trying to remember he's from a tiny island nation. Actually, this is kind of funny. He's from a tiny island nation called Vanuatu. I believe that's how you say it. It's like located northeast of Australia, but it's like not a little west of Fiji. It's like in Oceania. Middle it has like a population of like Cleveland. It's a very, very small thing, so it's kind of funny. Maybe not funny, but it's like this guy could be playing at Michigan State soon. Very, very small, very, very small. Island nation. He ends up playing basketball, and is here in America doing all this and that, which good for him. But again, still, these are the three guys for now. Things can still change. Names can be added. Names can be dropped. you're still ultimately only going to end up with one guy. Your backcourt is set. Your forwards are set. It's all about finding that center who can help maximize this team's output next season. Again, I don't have a great guess for you right now, but I feel like Yugatola would fit pretty well on this team. I still think you want Sherelle first. Just don't know if you're going to be able to get him. Yugatola, though, would be a very, very great consolation prize if you're able to get him as well. But yeah, for now, that is just kind of my thoughts on the situation, some things to know about each of these players. I guess if you just want some quick stuff on their strengths, can Sherelle, just can stretch the floor and a really, really good rim protector. Yugatola, I think, just fits the system pretty well. Pick and rolls, lob threat, stuff like that. And Bonky is actually a really good rebounder. He's in like the top 50 or 60 nationally in like rebounding rate on KenPom on both offensive and defensive on the defensive boards. So he can go rebound the ball with anyone. So that's another thing, just a quick little rundown right there. Yeah, that is all for today. There will be plenty of written content coming your way at SpartanNation.com or Michigan State Spartans on SI. More podcasting content coming your way right here. Keep checking back for more stuff from yours truly. But signing off, I'm Jake Patsnika. I'll see you guys around.